gravity?
All the gas molecules in space are pulled together.
I never said that.
When one molecule hits another molecule, why don't they stick together? Why do they bounce away from it? Gravity is pulling them together. How are they separating?
Because they have acceleration, and when stuff has acceleration, it
So
bounces off.
what gave them acceleration?
Gravity, I told you.
One molecule
let me
pulled
read.
another. One molecule pulled another molecule.
Where are molecules accelerating in space?
Sorry.
They hit each other and bounce off each other. We call this acceleration gravity.
Yeah, but I'm saying the molecule. You said one can go diagonally up, one can go straight down or left, right, whatever. But it's
It
coming
doesn't
from
matter the
somewhere. What?
Why does gravity have to pull it anywhere? They're just gravity pulls it towards the center of its mat.
Right. So in space, away from the Earth, where it's outer space, like you said, no Earths. How are they pulling together? And why aren't they? If they are pulling together, why aren't they clumping in one big ball? And how do they separate if gravity?
I never claimed that, and I've never heard anyone claim that particles of gas clump together in space.
Let's try again. Where did they get the acceleration from?
I said gravity.
Okay, go on then.
The acceleration that they have is gravity.
Explain it
If
then.
you're asking where does gravity come from, I don't know.
No.
Where does that acceleration come from?
I'm not saying that. You've got the one molecule that's left the atmosphere, that one that was able to escape. Yeah?
What does that have to do with molecules that are out 5 trillion miles from the surface
Talking
of the
about
Earth?
gas.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with one escaping from Earth?
Because that one molecule could have traveled trillions of miles away from the beginning of time. Yeah? That one molecule that escaped Earth, the first
so,
ever molecule to ever escape Earth, ever.
I postulate that that's possible, but I don't know for certain.
No, listen. That first ever molecule that escaped Earth's atmosphere. Let's say now that's now escaped the gravitational pull of the Earth, going up. Where does that pressure? Where does the pressure come from for that molecule to get its acceleration? Once it's left the gravitational field of Earth, where does the acceleration come from?
The bending of space-time. If I'm incorrect, anybody else correct me.
No, you're doing fine.
I'm
doing fine.
I'm just telling you my understanding. The bending of space-time causes things in space to accelerate.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that once the molecule leaves the Earth's atmosphere, it's not being bending. It's not in that bending of space-time. Left that field. Now it's in free space.
I want to correct you on something. The bending of space-time occurs whether there's particles of gas in that area or not.
Why? How?
So it's always occurring.
How?
Even if there was how?
Yeah.
There are other bodies besides particles of gas that are mass traveling through space-time, which is causing it to bend.
Yeah. So if that other molecule is in that field of the bending of space-time, go towards that body. Why? How does it accelerate towards another molecule? Then if you said
the bigger bodies cause the bending of space-time, so that those other molecules can hit each other.
How?
As I understand it. If I'm incorrect, then I'm incorrect.
Anyway, I need to pop out for 5 minutes. Let's bring Pure back. I'll be back in literally 5 minutes.
If I'm incorrect in my understanding,
you are incorrect, so I'm going to show you why when I come back.
Wait, no, I want someone in voice chat besides you to correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, you're more than wrong. You're saying gravity is the acceleration that causes the molecules to collide in space.
No, you misrepresented what I said. I said acceleration is what we call gravity.
In 5 minutes.
We assign. Okay. Hey, Jem, are you still here?
Yep.
Kosho, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here. What's going on, man?
Did you hear my interaction with Chemo?
Barely, yeah. You're talking about what causes attraction out in out in space.
Well,
I'm
we're
sorry, what
talking
causes
about how.
acceleration out in space? I think you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Did I
Yeah.
misrepresent our model? I just
No,
explained it the best I
not
could.
not quite. I think that you were just only you were only using one force that gives acceleration, but Chemo, he was correct in what he was correcting you on. He kind of caught you in something, and I think he was trying to point that out. But yeah, you're right that gravity is one way things will accelerate towards each other. But you have to remember that once things are already accelerated because of gravity, they can collide. Like let's say two things are attracted to each other because of gravity, and they're going fast enough that when they collide, there's enough force to make them bounce in the opposite direction, right? So you have another force that's accelerating. You have the gravity that initially accelerated them together, but then now they have a force that's uh, accelerating them away from each other in the opposite direction. One another. But give me 1 second. Sorry, Chris, I had a phone.
That's all right. I want to correct you on one thing.
Yeah.
I call the acceleration gravity to be very clear of what I am terming gravity, because that's what when not Einstein, when Newton saw things accelerating downward towards the center of masses, he would call it. That's what he used the. That's what he called gravity. So in space, when things are accelerated in any direction, I call that. I use the word gravity for that acceleration.
Well, that's
Instead of
incorrect, though,
saying,
Chris.
okay, if it's
Gravity is not
incorrect,
the name of any acceleration. Like you can describe gravity as acceleration, but that doesn't mean that all acceleration is what causes gravity.
Kosher, you're not
okay,
saying that when I slam the gas pedal, I'm not gravitating towards the fucking gas station?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh.
Okay. Thanks. I asked you to correct me, Patrick.
Well, that's what I'm correcting on it. That that's what it seemed like you were saying, that acceleration was just gravity, but the acceleration could be caused by any number of different forces, like thrust or collisions, particles colliding against each other, accelerating in the opposite direction.
Well, I did go a step further and say when masses travel through space, it causes it to bend, and then things accelerate to and away from each other, and we call that gravity.
All right, yeah, but remember that the beginning of y'all's conversation was about particles, pressure, and what causes how you can have pressure in a vacuum of space or near vacuum of space. And you were right what you were saying at first, because the pressure would be caused by the collisions of the particles, and that will give them some sort of so it's some pressure above zero, but it's not really caused by a gravity at that point. It's caused by the presence of those particles and their energy.
Okay. Well, then he went a step further. Chemo asked, how do those gravities how does those particles collide? And then that's when gravity came in, or acceleration came in, I should say.
Yeah, right. You should set that instead. Because even though there's a relationship between them, you can talk about them distinct. They're two different things. So, like for instance, if you come down to the atmosphere on Earth, then there's pressure, outward pressure, which is initially caused by the fact that there's a weight of air above it, caused by gravity, but ultimately the outward pressure is product of those particles colliding with one another. So that the acceleration that you can talk about when you talk about those particles and their pressure, you can just talk about the collisions. But I'm about to jump in the shower, Mr. Chris, so I'll just be listening for a minute.
Have fun.
You just said the same thing my girlfriend said when she called me just now. So yeah, I'm about to jump in the show. I said, have fun in the shower. Why is everybody saying have fun in the shower?
Don't worry, Chris. I'm back now. I'm back. Don't worry.
Chemo, tell Kosho to have fun.
Don't drown.
Yeah, don't drown and have fun.
So, Chris, yeah, I mean, the idea of space as gas pressure is... Right?
Describe why it's ludicrous.
Because you need a surface of a... Gases accumulate. If there's no surface in space,
so
there is no pressure.
The confines of the universe is a container.
No, but look, let me try and explain to you. So, like, you must have had these must be in America. So, tennis, yes?
I don't know tennis personally, but I've seen
the
tennis
game of
played,
tennis.
yes. Sure.
The game of tennis. Yeah?
Perfect.
So, you got the ball with the string attached to the bat.
Tennis doesn't have a string attached to
No, but I'm just trying to visualize what I'm talking about. You've got the game of tennis. Tennis racket. More like a table tennis racket. With...
Yeah, none of them have a ball attached to a string.
Yeah. So what's that all about? How does that work?
There are no balls attached to strings in table tennis or regular tennis.
No. Just the...
Or racquetball. Tennis, racquetball, or ping pong.
Chris, he wants you to describe how the ball interacts with the paddles and how it's able to go back and forth.
Yeah, like you go bang, 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 bang.
By pressure.
No, but the ball, why does the ball...
The swing of the racket.
So look, listen. Let's say that ball was a molecule. Yeah? And we have the ball dangling. So we hold the bat up, the ball is dangling in the air. That ball has no pressure. Then, as soon as you whack...
It would also somehow be at 0 degrees Kelvin, which never happens.
Yeah, but there's no pressure on that ball.
Just sitting there, the ball wouldn't just be sitting there in midair doing nothing. It would fall towards the table because of gravity.
Brummy wants to
Yeah, Kimo, you're describing a molecule at 0 Kelvin. That doesn't happen.
No, I'm describing a bat with a ball. With a string in between.
And that's analogous to a molecule at 0 Kelvin.
No, I'm just saying to Chris, get pressure from that ball, only get it...
You would have to have it at a temperature above 0 Kelvin.
No. Got to...
Yeah.
No, the ball has to strike the bat. Then...
And it will only do that if it's above 0 Kelvin.
You're talking about 0 Kelvin, I'm talking about...
The ping pong
you described it hanging there motionless. That'd be 0 Kelvin.
What? Look, we're just talking about the ball dangling in the air, then you go...
It's not
hit the
going to
bat,
dangle.
and you go boing, 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 hit the bat, and a few times.
So now you've heated it up, it's above 0 Kelvin, and you have pressure.
I don't know what you want about.
Yes, in room temperature, if a ball is... It's impossible for a tennis racket, or a tennis ball, or a ping pong ball, or a baseball, or any other ball that needs something to hit it, to just dangle in space. It would fall towards the table. It wouldn't just sit there by itself.
Chemo's saying, right, how do you have gas pressure with just one molecule, one gas molecule? Where's the air pressure coming from? You got one dangling air molecule.
We don't have just one, so it's a false analogy. We don't have just one air molecule.
The fundamental principle is your guys are saying that these are causing pressure on itself. So we need to go down to the very basics, strip it right down.
Yeah, but that's a slacker.
He can't eliminate all the other gas particles and say there's just one.
Well, even if you did though,
how do two gas molecules react to each other?
Well, but even if you eliminated all the gas particles, or you only had a small number of them, you could think instead of a tennis racket, you think of a pool table. If the pool table had a bunch of balls on it, and those were all the particles, whether there was only one or there was 10 or however many, each ball would always be moving slightly, even if it was only a little bit, or jiggling or doing something, because its energy would always be above absolute zero.
You sound like you're in the bathroom.
And so I am. And because their energy is above absolute zero, it's going to have some positive amount of movement. So even if there's one or if there was 100, doesn't
relax. Listen. Relax. Listen.
Kimo's got a point. Even when we can hear you clearly, you make more sense.
You're echoey and
even when we can hear you clearly, Coaster, we still don't understand you. So what do you think? What do you think? What chance are we gonna have? What chance do you think we're gonna have with you in the bathroom?
No, just out your bath.
Kimo were having a
when I get in the bath, I just listen to what you guys,
That's fantastic, Kimo. I'm outside the bathroom.
Me and Kimo were having a good discussion until Brumi showed up.
That's fine. That's fine, Chris. Chris, do me a favor and carry on with what I was saying about the pool table and the energy, because they're all gonna have a positive amount of energy. It's possible for it to be at absolute zero. They're at absolute zero. That means all pool balls are not moving.
So because pool balls are moving.
Kimo, it only sounds awful because you're talking over.
No, you sound tinny.
So give me a second to finish so Chris can carry on with what I'm saying. There's no reason for you to talk over.
You're in the shower, Kosho.
I'm not in the shower. I'm in the hallway. Later. I'm in the hallway right now.
Like eating or something. Do your business, come back.
Kimo.
Shut the fuck up, Kimo.
Yeah, stop talking over me.
Make your point then.
The problem with the pool table analogy is you're never going to eliminate all the gas particles. So it's a false analogy to say there's only one.
Yeah, but even in your model,
each gas molecule has energy.
Yeah, but remember the energy. I'm trying to explain to you. Walk it through. The first molecule to ever leave Earth's atmosphere. That's going to be very far away from the Earth, right?
Well, even
What?
that gas particle, that single gas molecule that was the very first one, which I don't even know how you would measure the first one.
Yeah,
But anyways,
the first one leaves the atmosphere,
the
now in
first
space.
one to leave the atmosphere would continuously have energy. Now, would it have as much energy as it does here on Earth? I'm not sure that it would, but I don't know.
Yeah, but what if it gets really cold? How can it get?
Because it still has, I mean, space has energy in it. Because all matter is energy.
Model
Matter and energy are the same thing.
still require surface pressure. No? That's why it doesn't work. Even your model, even except gases are flying around space, how does that even work? Because you said gravity. Gravity pulls things towards the object, and even if it's bending the space and of time, if that molecule is caught in the bending of the space and time, it's attracted to Earth or whatever's bending the space, like a rock, whatever. Can't have a molecule bending the space. How's that possible? How are you going to show that a molecule of gas can bend space? You know what I mean, Chris?
Sorry, I muted myself. All mass out in space, all masses that are out in space bend space-time. The amount of the bending of space-time depends on the mass of the object.
If that were true, all the gas molecules would clump together. And one molecule.
And that's called a sun.
Talking further than right, Chris? Miles away.
Well, I did say trillions of miles,
you
but
said trillions.
yes, there are suns.
Suns millions.
Since
You said trillions.
Chemo in our model, since the sun is a star, it's just closer, so we call it a sun. There are suns trillions of miles away from us. Or stars.
It's our, so Leo, it's our solar system's sun, and it is a star. So every one of the other solar systems have a sun.
Oh, I agree. I don't disagree with that.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
no way to compare that.
Oh, Ranty's here. What's the latest, Ranty?
I was just making the point that there are stars in our galaxy.
Leo, we've been talking for about an hour, bro, and you just droning on.
no, he hasn't. He's been talking about 30 minutes.
No,
you fucking punch drunk goddamn.
I've been and had a fucking dinner of food and fucking gone for a training session. I've come back, he's still yapping. You on about, bro? It's been about an hour and a half.
Well, he wasn't. He's only been talking for about 30 minutes. So
I've been listening, bro. He took when I stopped.
Energy draining, vampire-ish.
Sorry, bro. But
yes, you and Brummy are very draining.
Vampire-ish.
You're boring.
Apart from, meh.
All I'm saying to Chris, that in order for it to have pressure in space, you're going to have a surface area. At least one to cause the acceleration.
Has surface area. The universe being a container for every particle in the universe has surface area.
Yeah, but think about it.
Now, measuring that surface area may not be so easy, but it has a surface area.
Okay,
the
let's think about it.
confines of the universe cannot particles that I don't know of particles that escape that, but I could be wrong.
Well, your container, your universe is expanding. So the molecule will never catch the wall to actually hit it, give it pressure to return. Because it's always moving away from the molecule. See? You're expanding.
Chemo, just to be clear, you think that there's zero pressure in the middle of a balloon?
Middle of what?
In the middle of a balloon.
Of a balloon. No.
Or a high-pressure helium tank, whichever.
No pressure in the middle of the balloon.
The
pressure is on the wall of the balloon.
Okay, so there's no pressure in the middle. Just yes or no.
No, you won't be able to read the pressure from
I'm not asking can you measure it. I'm asking is there pressure in the middle of the container?
Yes.
the middle
Yes.
of the
Yes.
Not asking
The whole thing
you.
is pressurized
Asking
in all
Kimo.
directions. Kinetic energy is bouncing off each other. That's why
We're not talking. No one's talking to the fucking punching bag.
I want to see if Kimo disagrees with you.
I don't know what you
I'll
mean
punch
by
you.
pressure in the middle of the balloon.
I'll punch you up, bro. Don't worry about that.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Keep going, punching bag.
Pressure comes from the
beat you
walls.
up.
I'll beat anybody up.
I'll beat you up and everyone out in this room, one by one. Everyone at the same day.
No, see, the problem is, Chemo, you're trying an analogy which is like the dumbass one of if a tree falls in a forest and there are no ears to hear it, does it make any noise? You're just trying to say that if there's no surface for the molecules to interact with, there's no pressure. That's not true. There is.
Yeah,
you need the surface to make a measurement of the pressure. You need to deliberately have something for an interaction to cause.
For example, a human body, a human person in 0G.
In the example of when a tree, there's always noise made. But if there's a tape recorder to record it, then why would you suppose it's made? It's a nonsense analogy.
Bro, why are you talking over everyone, bro? Rummy was mid-sentence and you started talking right over him, dude. What's wrong with you today, man?
That's not what happened, Jeremy. Brummy interrupted the middle of his. No,
Brummy was
Bizarre
talking.
was talking and Brummy interrupted the middle of his sentence.
Bizarre, stop talking.
A millisecond fucking pause isn't him stopping.
More than a millisecond, dude. Play the tape back.
Bizarre asked the question, right? So I'll give him an answer. Of course, there's pressure in the middle of the balloon. And what was the second question, mate?
The thing was, you act like every question is proposed to you, which it wasn't.
Topic and stop worrying about what Anarchy thinks of it. What was the question you said?
No, just telling you exactly how it is.
All right.
You fucking.
Rummy, explain to me how there's pressure in the middle.
Pressure in the middle, because I think that the kinetic energy of the molecules will bounce off each other. That's what creates the pressure on the outside also, because they're all reacting from each other, all bouncing off and pushing out.
Yeah, but I'm asking specifically in the middle of the balloon. Listen, the middle of the balloon. We don't know where the pressure comes from, but how are you going to measure the pressure?
I think the pressure comes from the.
No, I didn't ask that. Itself. I said, how are you going to measure the pressure in the middle of the balloon?
Because you put your barometer in the middle, for example, you put your pressure gauge sensor in the middle, and all the kinetic energy that it reads, all the bouncing off that reader, then you know your PSI.
Not from the middle of the balloon.
Yeah, from any point you could sample any point of a balloon. A balloon is a pressurized contained system. Inside a pressurized contained system, you'll have air pressure like we experience. What's wrong with you?
So you're saying you could put a gauge inside the balloon and it would read the pressure?
Yeah. That's how barometers work. We're in a contained system. We go up in the atmosphere with a barometer. We can go anywhere in the atmosphere.
No. A barometer requires gravity. The gauge requires the walls of the container.
It requires atmospheric pressure. A barometer requires atmospheric pressure.
Yeah.
Because the pressure pressing down on the device determines where the mercury will settle.
Okay, so just slow down a second.
That's how you know.
Slow down.
Okay.
So you've got atmospheric pressure, which is
it's the same thing as gas pressure. Same thing as gas pressure.
Hold on. Got atmospheric pressure, which is caused by gravity. Got gas
pressure. Say
atmospheric
pressure.
Let me finish.
They say atmospheric pressure is caused by gravity. All right, sorry, bro.
Got gas pressure, which we talk about in a container, which requires a gauge. Cannot use a barometer with gas pressure in a container. You would use a barometer for the atmosphere.
Atmospheric pressure. Same thing, gas pressure. Because what you have to understand, gas pressure and atmospheric pressure are exactly the same thing. I know they say atmospheric pressure is the gravity giving the gas molecules weight, which pulls down on itself, which causes atmospheric pressure. So basically, saying the gravity is the container. You can't have containment. You can't have pressure without containment. But in their example, their container is gravity. That's why they reify it and say the atmosphere is causing the pressure itself. But really, what they mean is the gravity that's containing the gas is causing gas pressure, which is the atmosphere.
Where's the container then?
The container in their model is
no,
gravity.
In your model.
In my model, in my I think, well, if let's say what I do is I speculate on both sides. If it's true that gravity is their container, then they have a gravity, and it's not a contradiction. It's not a violation of second law of thermodynamics because they have a container. But if they don't concede that their container is
let
gravity,
him take you off of the point. The point is that he thinks there's no pressure in the middle of a container.
No, I'm not saying there's not. I'm asking how you would measure it.
I never asked you how you measure it.
But he's not the.
I didn't even answer it. I didn't answer it. I said I'm asking how would you measure it is what I'm asking.
Yeah, you're avoiding the question.
Yeah, because I'm not sure. How would you measure it in the middle?
Chemo, I think you're wrong here, Chemo, because you can use barometers. I know they say it's atmospheric pressure, but really what they're saying is that's how they get gas pressure from their container. The barometers have an exerted pressure on them.
Okay, so fine. Can you show me gas pressure with a container using a barometer?
Could I show you gas? Yeah, you could put a barometer inside of a fucking balloon.
No, in a container, like a plastic.
Yes, that is a container. A balloon is a container.
Well, any then. Go on, then. Let's have a look at a barometer measuring.
I have no evidence to back that assertion up.
Yeah, so this is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to explain to you.
Hold on, but that's how would you measure the pressure of a football if you couldn't read? How you can read it on the edges?
With a gauge.
You could read it in the surface.
A gauge.
It's PSI, isn't it? And it pounds per what's PSI stand for again?
Pounds per square inch.
Square inch or something.
Try to listen a minute. You're saying the barometer.
The square inch means every inch of that inside that container. That's what per square inch means.
All right. So just show me then a barometer measuring gas pressure in a container. Any container.
So you what? Sorry.
Show me a barometer measuring gas pressure in a container.
Inside of a balloon. Put a barometer inside of a balloon. Blow the balloon up.
Inside, outside, wherever you want it.
Put the wire through it so you get the readings. You can get like a reading from the cable. So you get like a double-ended barometer or something. And then just read the other end of it because it would give you the reading within. I know that would be absolutely. Think of it. If there's kinetic energy if all the molecules are bouncing off each other to create the pressure in the balloon, as you put all more air in there, when you blow it up, for example. It blows up and it gets more tense because there's more energy happening and there's more kinetic energy bouncing off each other. So when you blow more air in there, eventually it can pop the balloon, can't it? Because eventually you're putting 10 sardines into a phone box. Do you know what I mean? If you're putting like hundreds and hundreds of people, explode in it. The phone box is going to explode if you put 100 people in it. Do you know what I mean? You can't fit 100 people in a phone box. So what it does, it creates pressure and an outward.
The gases are not solid like that, Brummy.
But when you contain gases in a container and you increase the pressure, they behave very similar to putting pressure of a tanker with water or you put naturally if the pressure exceeds the capabilities of the container, the container will break.
Okay, so look again. I'm just asking a very simple point. You're saying they're the same thing. I'm saying they're not the same thing. I'm saying that atmospheric pressure requires gravity, why they use a barometer. And you can't show a container measuring pressure with a barometer. I don't know where you got that from.
I thought you said that the atmosphere had a container around it. So by your beliefs, every barometer is showing pressure in a container.
No, I haven't claimed a container.
You haven't?
I haven't claimed a container. For me, it's just another medium.
Look, they have their container is gravity, Chemo. So they ain't defying the second law of thermodynamics in their model. Their container is gravity, which creates the atmosphere.
Our atmosphere is not contained, Chemo.
I know. You're saying it's being pulled down by gravity, right?
Globers don't think it is, but it is.
No, but Brummy, you're mistaking the barometer and the gauge, how they work.
No, I'm just saying that it's contained gas. Whether it's gravity or a dome, it's still contained. You won't have gas pressure without it. It follows a logical consistency. You cannot break that logical consistency.
Let's not argue.
Gas pressure requires containment.
I'm not arguing.
Yeah, but you're talking about gas pressure, aren't you?
But that's atmospheric pressure. It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
It's not. Gas pressure is man-made, isn't it? Or you could also, you could say living thing made, because I suppose you could include.
Are you breathing air? Are you experiencing gas pressure? Are you breathing air? Are you breathing air right now?
But Brummy, again, you're missing the point. I'm talking about
living things or what have you will create gas pressure. But atmospheric pressure is totally different.
Let me ask you a question. Are you breathing air right now? Right? Serious question.
Being silly because that's not the argument.
Is the air you breathe gas pressure? Are you breathing in a pressurized gas pressure?
It's a pointless argument because it's not. It's a pointless. It's a pointless question.
Gas? Are you breathing pressurized gas? You are breathing the atmosphere. The same thing you're breathing is the pressurized gas that you're breathing.
That's like us discussing the difference between a car and a motorbike, and you asking whether it takes petrol or not. It makes no difference. It's a completely red. It's a complete red herring. It's a complete red herring. It means
gravity. So gravity causing atmospheric pressure is exactly as containment causing gas pressure. You're just saying that it's not the same.
No, Brummy, because think about it. It's not, because the gas escapes because they've got a force.
All right, but you can have a few holes in you can have a hole in your bucket, dear Lila, and it still being a container. I would consider a bucket with a hole in a container for water.
Yeah, that's an open system, yeah?
So it's a container.
No, I consider that a container.
Yeah, but is that an open system or a closed system?
Open system or a closed system? I'd say it was a closed system.
A bucket with a hole in it is a closed system.
Yeah. Because if I can put enough water in that bucket and it's sufficient for me to get, like, let's say I was filling a well from point A to point B, and I could contain the water with my hands, or I could use a bucket with a hole in. I'd use the bucket with the hole in to contain the water. Would you?
And that's a closed system too.
Hey, Brummy, your hole is directly in the bottom center. Now, how efficient is your fucking bucket?
If it's completely
still
open,
containing the water.
If it's completely open, I wouldn't consider that a container, no.
But is it efficient? You said you would consider a bucket with a hole in it efficient.
Yeah, I would.
All right, really, it's efficient with a hole in the bottom center, Brummy?
Yeah, if the bucket drains in like a minute, and you only need to move it 30 seconds away, the bucket's still an efficient way of moving water, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if could be a pinhole, could be a little small pinhole size, and the water the water tension won't even go through it. Who knows?
Yeah, it's still a closed system. It's still an open system, though, bro. Because it can rain and fill the bucket. That water can enter the bucket. It's
considered a container, and it's considered closed to me. It's not really inconsistent. I think when you overall it. Look at it from the big picture. Is it considered majority a container or not? It is.
Brummy, it's an open system, bro. Brummy, it's an open system, dude.
That's why I didn't bother saying anything, because Brummy, I don't know what's wrong with you. I think you're looking at the wrong argument.
I'm explaining their model. Their model is an open closed system, isn't it?
I mean, Brummy is going off the bullshit.
I'm trying to explain the globe to you because you're not getting their argument, really. It sounds like.
Brummy is working off their bullshit open closed system. I mean, that is what they would say if there's just a pinhole in it and only a tiny bit is getting through. You can consider it a closed system.
Sure, but buckets have a large gaping hole at the top, so it's of course an open system.
It's an open system.
Like your gaping hole at the top of your globe Earth model.
Yeah, there's a gaping.
Yeah. Same thing. He's explaining your bullshit to Chemo.
The same force that keeps the water in a bucket keeps the air on the Earth.
Whatever. The point is he's explaining your globe bullshit to Chemo essentially with his open closed bucket container.
Well, that's what they believe in.
And to try to drag this back one more time, this came from Chemo saying you have to have zero pressure in space because there's no surface.
Well, I mean, if space was a vacuum, the gas would fill the container.
It doesn't matter where we start.
It's like a car. It's like driving your car with your window open, or on a train with your window open. It's still it's still contained, isn't it? But you can interact with the. No, I'm just saying they're modeled, brother. I'm not claiming this. I'm just saying.
This is Brummy's trip that we're following. We have been dragged around with.
Yeah. That's what they believe, though. I used to believe it, so. So only so much air escapes, but it's still contained. You can still consider it overall. You can still consider it, and I think that's consistent. You can consider it a container overall. Even though it's got a hole in. You know, that is quite logical. And I would, if somebody had a hole in a bucket or said, fill this bath up with a hole in a bucket or your hands, I'm going to use the bucket because it's going to help me contain more water.
You're talking about several different things and conflating all of them. Open and closed and isolated systems have distinct definitions. So.
Try and keep up. That's what I'm saying.
But a bath is like the bucket. It's not a closed system. It's gravity that keeps the water in a bath.
No, the density. That's the argument.
Yeah, water is more dense than the air above it.
Gravity does everything, don't it, Jeremy?
It's also more dense than the air beside it, to the left of it, above it, below it.
Yeah, that's why it'll spread out. That's why it'll.
I thought I was still talking here, Jeremy.
I'm telling you how it decides.
Well, yeah, but
an answer,
when you could, there are turns when you get to talk.
Okay, so you don't.
So how does it decide which direction to go in when water in free space has less density in all directions? How does it choose?
I don't know. Maybe you don't want an answer.
Yeah, you don't know because you don't want to admit.
You're done talking? All right. So this is how it decides. This is how it decides. If it's more dense, there's rules for relative density. If it's more dense than the medium, the object, it goes down. If it's less dense, it goes up. Those are the relative density rules. I'm sorry, I thought I was
made up these rules, Jeremy.
I could have swore I was still talking just now.
Yeah, you just made up the rules.
You don't care, bro. You're totally
Order. Hazard, come on, we can't keep doing this. Order.
Spiraling chemo.
Jeremy, you missed the point. How does he decide which way is down?
That's the relative density, the law of relative density. If it's more dense, I just told you.
You can't decide which direction is down.
It does. Well, gravity can't decide which direction is down. Then.
Density doesn't directionality.
Well, so can relative density. So can relative density.
On the mass. So gravity goes towards the mass.
So can relative density.
The vector of gravity.
Right, my relative density works the same way.
Because density is all around the object. When
my relative density works the same way, bro. If it's less dense, I mean, I clearly gave you the rules.
And there's no vector.
This guy's spiraling, bro. He's been spazzing like this all day ever since Witsit was in here earlier, bro.
This Jeremy guy's been spazzing like this all day, been jumping in and interrupting.
You just been spiraling all day, bro.
You just spiraling all day, Jeremy. It's been really
take a break, bro.
Jeremy, the difference here is that he defined what down is in one system. You just said it goes down.
Yeah, down is the direction of the more dense object will go.
See, that's circular.
There is no down.
The object goes down, and down is the direction.
There is no down. There is no direction. Gas is going all direction. The water's trying to find its level. If you open the bath, the sides, what will happen? It will go left, it will go right until it finds its level. Okay? Until it's horizontal. It won't curve around the exterior of an object.
Yeah,
we know that bizarre. I don't know where you're getting that from. So,
it won't go up, Pimo.
It will go up if it's less dense. If there's a lot of heat and it evaporates, it will go up.
Yeah, but if it doesn't evaporate, it won't go up.
If it's more dense,
because it's more dense than the air.
Continuously go down.
It won't go up because it's more dense than the air. Those are the relative density rules.
But Jeremy, all you've got is a circular definition for what.
No, we don't. We got a solid definition, solid science behind what we got. You guys got pseudoscience. Absolutely nothing because you don't have an independent variable. Oh my god.
You've got no resolution.
Oh my god, bro!
Why it goes?
You were crying earlier when I interrupted you one time. Now you're talking all over.
Why things decide to go towards ground? Why do they go towards
interact with you? Because you're interrupting and talking all over everyone.
No explanation for that.
You've got to be doing this.
Story about why it should choose down. That's
bro. Why am I going to let you talk over me? Just stop talking, dude. I was in the middle of a sentence. I'm in the middle. I was in the middle of a sentence, bro. You can't just start talking all over me. I stopped talking earlier when you wanted me to stop talking, and now you're not letting me talk.
I do it.
This is absolutely obnoxious, dude. You can't be doing this. We got to get some moderation here, man. I don't know who would even want to listen to this.
If you think
you're literally ruining the chat right now. You're ruining the chat.
Never interrupt.
Nobody wants to listen to this, bro. You're ruining the chat, Emo. Emo, can we do something here, bro? What's the moderation?
Where's the rules?
I mean, it's straight ruining the chat, bro.
Guys, let Bizarre finish.
I was in the middle of
we'll
a
address
sentence.
it. You can't talk. You can't talk over him, man.
I was in the middle of a sentence.
I know you think you were, but actually Slacker was, and you were interrupting Slacker, and then Bizarre interrupted you.
Nobody was talking. I was talking, and then this guy came in and started talking all over me, bro. This is obnoxious. Get your boy under control here. He's
look. All you had to say to Jeremy was that density doesn't determine directionality, and explain why, and stop fucking bitching and whinging. Come on, guys.
Slacker was in the middle of doing that.
He wasn't. I was in the middle of explaining relative density to him when he started spiraling. You guys are out of control today. You've been spiraling out of control all day. Okay, this is obnoxious to even listen to. I can't believe I'm even engaging you guys.
Stop being a whiny bitch for 5 minutes?
Seriously.
Ever?
Can't believe I'm even engaged. Oh, that's going to help, Pure. That'll help things.
All right,
Yeah,
then let's get
just
back on
pointing it out.
topic and forget the complaining. Give me a non-circular definition for what down is.
Down is the direction in which the more dense objects fall. Hence, plumb bobs.
I have one question for Jeremy, and I'll be quiet after I ask.
You all set, Slacker? Or well, hold on a second. Let's iron this out right here. Y'all set or what? No.
No.
Why not?
Why did they go? Why did they go in that direction?
Who cares why? I'm telling you which direction down is. You wanted a definition for down. There you go.
Well, a minute
you
ago,
don't have a why either.
If there
you
was a great,
have a why. All you have is some wild excuse and ad hoc explanation of why. Don't act like you know the why. I do know the why.
We're talking about yours, okay? Why?
Yeah. I do know the why. Because more dense objects go down.
Now you've made it circular again, see?
It's not circular. That's what happens. That's what down is. That's the way down is. That's why it works, because of relative density. A more dense object will
down because it goes down.
More dense object
because it goes down because it goes down. That's what you're saying, Jeremy.
It goes down because the object is more dense than the medium.
You're
it
not
goes down because
anything,
it's more dense
Jeremy.
than the medium.
Jeremy, you're
it goes
not
down because it's
explaining
more
anything.
dense. Why is this guy not letting me talk? It goes down because it's more dense than the medium it's in.
Child,
it goes down because it's more dense than the medium it's in.
This because it does
this is not circular. This is why things go down. It goes down because it's more dense than the medium it's in. Jesus Christ, man. Stop talking over people like a nutcase.
You're the nutcase because you really don't understand that you're not explaining a damn thing. You're just saying because it is because it is because it is.
I'm explaining because
absolutely childish nonsense. You can't understand how you
say because something happens
in the morning.
I don't know if you knew that or not. When I say things go down because they're more dense than the medium they're in, that's why. That's the reason. That's the cause.
Yeah, I know, but
we know this. We got solid science behind our shit because of every experiment that happens in every middle school across America. They do this relative density experiment.
Jeremy, listen to this is Slacker's point. Slacker's point that it's the reason why he's saying it's circular is because he's asking you what is relative density. You say it's that more dense objects, if they're more dense than the medium, they go down. Then he says, okay, define down. And then you say down is the direction that more dense things go in the medium. So you're explaining the definition. That's what he's saying about it being circular. There's no cause for it. You're just saying that it does that because that's the rules. The rules are this way because that's where down is. It doesn't make sense.
Hold on. The cause of why things go down is because it's more dense than the medium that turns. Is that not a good enough cause for you?
Nope.
Yeah. Now the question is why that direction out of all 6 directions? Why that direction is the one that shows it?
You want to know cause of the cause of the cause? I don't have all the answers for you. I just know why things go down.
No. Some things go.
Okay, well that's a better answer. Just saying that you don't know is a better answer than all that.
You guys don't know why either. You can sit here and say that you know space time's bending, but that's all a fairy tale.
That's not the answer.
Whatever. We're both on the same page when it comes to things going up or down. The only difference is we have the actual science to back us up, and you have science.
That's not the answer, Slacker. So again,
have this information that things always move to the mass of the Earth. They always move to the ground.
They don't, because sometimes things go up.
It's the mass that causes the gravity, and the gravity is towards the mass. What you're saying is an object with lower density in all directions somehow chooses one direction. The density that you say is important.
Doesn't happen the way he said.
The
He
density
just flat out
that
lied.
you say is important.
Things with mass always don't go down.
Jeremy, let me get this, Jeremy.
Density which you are saying makes the decision.
He's already
the density
wrong.
difference is in all directions. Why does it choose one direction?
I mean, he talked all over
when
me
the
when I was
relative
trying to-
density is different in all the directions.
Monologue off forever. Okay, things don't always go down to the center of mass.
Bizarre's point, right?
Sometimes they go up.
Jeremy, Bizarre.
Without other forces, objects with mass will accelerate towards the net center of mass.
They don't always do that, though. Sometimes they go up.
You didn't listen.
They don't always go down.
You didn't listen.
If there's
Without other forces, objects will accelerate towards the center of mass.
No, false.
Please stop muting me, please, whoever keeps doing it. I just wanted to say Bizarre's point was pretty good, and I think Jeremy should answer with specificity.
Look, again,
say that in text chat.
His point was there's loads of directions. Of all the millions of directions it chooses, it always chooses the opposite to the surface of the Earth. But there's some things that go, up, and some things that go down towards it. So there is he's saying he's trying to judge the behavior on this to the force of the Earth. But the things that go up, you also say that it pulls everything else down. It seems a bit contradictory also, because I don't see gas molecules being pulled down, which pushes other ones up.
You need to listen. Seems a bit... this is why we all need to listen to what people are saying before cutting them off. Because Slacker just said, when you when you're not describing any other forces, when you negate any other forces acting on an object, okay, gravity pulls things towards the center of the mass. That's where the center of the mass is. So there's a direction caused by where the concentration of all the vectors of all the masses around it are pulling it towards the center of mass.
False.
Now, if you have a buoyancy or something like that, something that's making it go in the opposite direction, that's adding other forces and influences. But we're not talking about other forces and influences. We're talking about simply.
What you're singling out, hold on, Kosher, because you're singling out a downward directionality, because he's saying in all the vectors it could go, it always goes down, but sometimes it goes in the complete opposite direction, which is up. So you guys subscribe, your downward force is the dominant force, which is also causing the upward force, which is an explanation that you guys are satisfied with, and I can understand why you believe it. But personally, I don't see gases being pulled down. What I do see is gases finding their equilibrium. What Jeremy's saying is that you got it. Yeah, he isn't really giving you a replacement, but you guys are coming to him with with saying this is what it is, and if you don't accept it, you must replace it, and that's not his job to replace. What is your independent replacement? But he has to falsify it, I guess, which he hasn't done.
I'm not saying he has to replace it. If he can get to a point and say, I don't know, that's a more honest answer, and that would be okay to start with.
Okay, so do you know then, Jeremy, or is it just like the nature of the universe?
No,
what would you
I know why things go down, because they're more dense than the medium they're in. So when they go up, they're less dense.
Can you explain directionality then?
No, you want to ask why that happens. If you want to ask why that happens.
He wants you to explain the density. How do you get the directionality from density? That's what he wants. That's a scientific question. How do you get directionality from density?
Okay, stop talking, Brummy. So we get the direction. The directionality happens because of the object's density compared to the medium it's in. Like you just said, it's always trying to find equilibrium. That's what things do. That's the natural state of reality. Is this equilibrium? Things will, and it's subjective too. It's not like it's a question. And we have actual science behind relative density, whereas they have pseudoscience behind their space-time bending. So this isn't even a debatable. Like, you guys lost. We have real science. You guys have pseudoscience. What are we talking about here?
So Jeremy,
Jeremy,
if you were to say we reversed the density gradient, so you have, instead of how it normally is, where it's the less.
Why don't you answer his? You asked for a question of what it gets directionality from the density, and now he's giving you an answer. Why are you talking about that? Why are you talking about something else now?
I'm not.
They know I got him.
I'm posing the situation.
You really didn't.
And they know their beat, Brummy. They got pseudoscience back.
What science?
Can
What
you not
experiment do you have, Jeremy?
What I was freaking saying.
Hey guys, let's allow Jace to continue.
So, typically you walk in a room, it's less dense at the top. There's a gradient where it gets more dense on the floor, where the floor is. So, Jeremy, what happens in your situation? Say if you were to reverse that, and it was the least dense at the bottom of the room with a gradient going up to the most dense at the top. Say you were pumping like different density gases in there to cause that situation. Would the objects then go upwards? Or are they still going to fall down?
What's your object? What's your object?
Just say you have a tennis ball.
A tennis ball, and you're gonna make you're gonna make the air be more dense on top of the room than the bottom.
Yeah, you completely reverse the gradient just in this room.
Okay.
Not
So
in the whole.
No, I gotcha. So anywhere you put the tennis ball in the room, it's gonna be more dense than the air, right? Even the more dense air.
Yeah, but do you not see?
So
the
then, which way do you
there?
think it's gonna? No, because what did I say about relative density?
Yeah,
that the more dense objects go down, right?
But now you have two contradictory situations.
No, I don't, bro. You're
normally.
Jace, hold on.
Let me explain, man. Give me a second to explain it. Because normally the gradient is increasing in density as you go downwards. So you're saying you drop the tennis ball and it's less dense in the air and it's falling through that gradient to the floor. But now we've reversed the gradient and it's still going to do the same thing. So that kind of shows either the object somehow knows where the ground is, it has supernatural properties, or your idea just kind of doesn't make sense.
I could have saved you the last 30 seconds of talking, bro. Things don't go towards the less dense medium. I never said that. I said things that are more dense than the medium they're in will go down. That doesn't matter. Now, anywhere you put the tennis ball inside the air, it's going to be more dense than the air. So that means it's going to go which way, Jace?
No.
Which way is the tennis ball going to go, Jace?
No. If
It's not
all
for
the
you, Brad.
directions, all the directions from the tennis ball,
why can't you let him finish, bro?
The density, Jeremy.
He's the one person I don't mind talking.
All directions from the tennis ball are lower density. Why choose one over the other? You haven't explained that point.
Jace, which way is the tennis ball going to go?
It goes down to the floor.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. There we go.
Yeah, but I've reversed the variable that you're saying causes that, and you're still seeing the same effect. That's
what variable did you reverse? Did you make medium more dense?
Jace,
so it knows to both go towards the more dense medium. And
you don't understand
the argument, Jace.
See, when you put the tennis ball, you didn't change any of the variables. When you put the tennis ball in the air that's less dense, it's always going to go down. If you want to make the medium more dense and actually change one of the variables, then you'll see a difference in direction. But if you just leave it in air, it's going to go down. You wouldn't expect to see anything different.
But the object can only feel the air that's around it. Like, it doesn't know where the floor is unless you're
the air around it is less dense than the object. The air around it is less dense than the object, right? I don't know what
you're not getting it.
Is the air around the tennis ball less dense?
There's a gradient of density, though, Jeremy.
Jace, the gradient not relevant. Jace, the gradient is not relevant. The tennis ball.
I don't know your boys.
The tennis ball is always more dense than any layer of the atmosphere, Jace.
You don't get it.
The relative density gradient is not relevant here. What the problem is wherever the tennis ball is released in the atmosphere, the gradient is infinitesimal, so as not to be a consideration. But why does the tennis ball know to fall towards the mass of the Earth? Why does it detect down when the relative density, which Jeremy is trying to propose, is the mechanism, whether it's
you're breaking up, Brazzers. You're breaking up, bro.
Why does
the relative density from the tennis ball is the same in all directions? Why does it always choose the direction of the ground? He has not explained that. Relative density does not address that. It's not a theory.
Well, that doesn't always occur because the
Not
moon
a
is
theory, it's just
the moon is moving away from the Earth. So explain that one.
The Earth is
That's not
slowing
falling
down.
down.
Well, I was
Stop-
just trying to
stop
get
fucking-
to the mechanism rather than this just saying it goes down because of relative density. Somehow it has supernatural properties to know where the ground is. Like there has to be a mechanism.
It's a law. It's a
There's
relative.
only pressure pressing on it. That's all that's going on. It doesn't know where things are. That's not how reality works.
Let me explain it for you.
That's true.
It's the law of how reality works. It's a law of how reality works, right? If things are more dense than the medium they're in, they go down. It's a rule. It's just how it is. You don't have a cause. We don't always know the cause to every effect that you see. I know you guys want to.
Oh my God!
Like to think we do,
yet
but
you require it. Yet you require it daily.
That's just not how reality works, man.
It's okay. It's okay for you to not have.
The cause and effect is the densities of the objects to the medium.
Oh, the fucking hypocrisy out of these people's
science on
mouths.
this. We can do actual science on this. I don't know what you guys are
I would love to find out.
Jeremy,
I would love to find out
relative
which one.
density
We got actual science
all
behind
around
it,
the
and you guys are
Why does it
pseudoscience.
choose down?
There's
You
an
haven't
implied.
described how it chooses down.
There's an implied mechanism there that I was trying to show him. If you were to reverse the mechanism,
You really think you're going to show him, Jace?
Well,
you really think he's going to concede it? I know, but save hopes and dreams for fucking church, dude. Because in reality, it doesn't fucking work.
I'm back. You should be able to see it because you can show him how in one explanation you get things moving down and things moving up. In the other explanation, you get that, plus you get orbits, plus you get acceleration and density separation by acceleration. You get so much more with the gravity explanation than you do with this density explanation. It makes the gravity one superior.
You need me, and I need you. No.
Yeah, but if he doesn't understand this basic level, Scott, how the hell is he going to advance?
But here's what he's right about. He's right about the fact that we could say this. I mean, the world could be like this. Let's say we didn't know about orbits. We could say, guys, there's this force called relative density. Relative density separates things between towards the ground and towards the sky, and it's a force. And and here's how it works: if you're more dense, you go down than the medium you're in, and vice versa. And that would be an explanation that's sort of equivalent to gravity for that one contained area. You can't really say which one's better there because really one is a function of the other. Now, how do you distinguish between these two? Well, that's when if you look at the broader picture, now you can say, okay, well, how does relative density help us with orbits? How does relative density help us with separation by acceleration? It doesn't. It doesn't give us anything for that. And yet gravity does, and does everything relative density does inside this one local area.
No, gravity doesn't
Obviously, gravity becomes better explanation. It becomes the Occam's razor version in this case. That's why we have it. We have it because it's this comprehensive, clean, simple explanation that covers everything that relative density does that they use for relative density, plus all this other stuff too.
Well, it's also because it provides a mechanism that can be quantified, measured, and tested, whereas relative density can't do any of that, apparently.
What? Are you comparing something physical through imagination?
No, we're not.
Well, you got to have imagination with gravity. With relative density, you just need volume. Any amount of you can hold it.
You don't.
Right
you need more than just volume.
No, really. Interesting.
No, you need more than just volume. You need mass and volume, but what we're saying is that the explanatory power is essentially the same if you contain yourself to just looking at things moving up and down on Earth. But if you expand beyond that, though, one of them suddenly loses all of its explanatory power, the other one does not, and that makes it superior.